We're off. Okay, we're injury clinic, and Gav has got a presentation, so I will hand over to him. Gav, Gavin, Gavin, Gav, Gav. A few technical issues. You there, Gav?
Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yeah, you can hear me, yeah. Cool. Excellent. So should we get started?
yep,
Yeah, I can't hear you for some reason. No worries. Let's make a start anyway. If you hit record, give me
yep.
thumbs up, thumbs down. Hey, here we go. So this happened last week, didn't it? Obviously, very good at coaching cricket, useless on tech. All right, probably every year I revisit this from a personal point of view. I've always been one of these kind of geeky people that have followed quite a bit of stuff around longevity, biohacking, and just how to optimize your own health, your own body. And obviously, we're in the performance industry. But I always say like only out of the possibly around 200 players on the program, only 20% or maybe 10 to 15% are pros trying to be pros. The rest are like everybody else on the call, normal people trying to improve the game. And what that means is you have to work, you have to sit at desks, you've got jobs, there's pressures, you're not walking around. I mean, honestly, county cricket is easy. The amount of guys that I see who've retired, who've got no clue about real life, they walk around with the tracksuits on, they have a coffee in the morning, they do a couple of gym sessions. When they leave, they do not know what hits them. And the reality is that they don't have to deal with any of the pressures and stresses that you guys do. And I've started many years ago with one of the shows of the Joe Rogan show. Actually, I watch a lot of it, which I'm sure some of you guys will relate to. But there's Dr. Dan Walker. He put something across, and I'm talking about a decade ago on sleep, and I remember it. And I remember walking away from it thinking, geez, like if you don't pay attention to this, it doesn't really matter about anything else. Like you just won't ever get yourself to the next stage. So and every year I revisit the latest research that he's put together, and every year it becomes more solid. There are more kind of peer-reviewed articles, and it just seems to me it's worth now just going through this for the next few minutes. Now, most of us who do sit in working environments, we have boring presentations, somebody talks, there's lots of pictures on the screen. We all fall asleep after two slides, and then that's our life. But I'm going to literally set a bit of a timer now for 1 minute per slide. That's all you have to do, just to literally read through, and then we can chat about it afterwards. So, this is a presentation without me presenting. First slide, timer's on.
There's nothing happening, Gav.
To be fair, you'd have to be in the slow readers club to still be reading after 25 seconds. So, we'll probably will move on in a second. Anybody who are just lagging behind a little bit. Okay, next one. Okay, so again, interacting a little bit as we go. If that is the issue from one poor night's sleep and you've just had a day of learning, the software, the operating system, downloads it during sleep. So all that effort, all the learning, all the training, all the new skill acquisition, this is why sleep is so important. Again, huge. So you have the lymphatic system and you have the glymphatic system. It's just an opportunity to cleanse and to clear the system out. All the toxins during the day, they all mount up. And it's a big, big part of it. For me, if I have a poor night's sleep, I am looking for huge volumes of carbohydrate, as much heavy food as I can possibly lay my hands on. And that's something then that starts that cycle where you know it's not nutritionally sound, but the body craves it. And the body goes looking for those dense carbohydrates. One of the things that happens in poor sleep is the hormone ghrelin increases. That is the I'm hungry, look out, feed me hormone, which drives us to go and search for, unfortunately, not the healthy foods. And that's a big, big part of the whole cycle of where poor sleep and interrupted sleep or lack of sleep just feeds into everything. Don't need to explain why testosterone is important for men. I think one of the things I found fascinating with some of the ultra marathon runners that sort of day two, day three, they would be hallucinating. And what was interesting when you sort of dive into that a little bit is the REM sleep is the dream sleep. It's that weird sleep, when you go, you wake up and then it's, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning and you go back for a doze and suddenly you've seen a friend of yours you haven't seen for 30 years riding a pony in the desert and you think, Jesus, where's that come from? Like, our brain is so hardwired to force ourselves to get REM sleep. The ultra marathon runners, literally like day two, day three, they'd be running down the track and they would see things whilst awake. So the brain the, would force the human organism to get REM sleep when you're deprived. So when you look at hierarchy around the organism that is a human being, the survival system, obviously air is number one. We can't do without that. And there's some interesting studies on that with CO2 and dosing. But air is number one, which is going to be massive. Water functions in, sleep. So these are all the things that you die before if you don't get enough. Sleep is in front of food. You can go for a month without food. It's not going to be enjoyable, but you're about 3 to 4 days, and suddenly if you're not sleeping, and some of when you see on the documentaries, a lot of the SEAL team training, which is hardwired into sleep deprivation, you see what happens after day two into day three. So here are some of just the basics that you can put into play, and there are all sorts of things nowadays. But if I'm honest, like there are apps and there's technology, and I use one called New Calm, which is a great app. But like, we were geared up to be able to do this. We've kind of lost ourselves around it. Very a similar way that we constantly talk to players about human movement, movement screens, accessing movement. Like we didn't have to do that 40 years ago. You didn't have to tell somebody how to do things, but our environments have changed. And because our environments have changed, so has the human organism. So when it comes to movement, we don't move as well. They've lowered every single um, physical intake test in the armed forces, in the police, just to get people to serve because they can't do things they used to be able to do. And sleep has just I think it's just taken over to a point where we don't really think about it. And you might wear a Garmin watch or something in bed that might say you've had great sleep, but honestly, like unless you're hooked up in a sleep lab to actually monitor your brainwaves, you're not going to get any accurate readings on it when it comes to it. So, but there is nothing normal if you think about this around the sleep for the human organism. We spend 24 hours a day awake. Well, sorry, in a day. And 8 hours, a third of that, we sleep. Now you go back 100 years, 150 years, we actually used to sleep in two brackets of 2 to 3 hours per time. But now you're ideally supposed to spend one third of your life asleep. So there has to be something pretty important going on there for the human body to need and crave it because it goes against everything we were hardwired, survival. People can attack you 200 years ago in your village when you're asleep. So it had to be something that was crucial. And we are now in an era of hard charging, more is more, 5 a.m. club, I don't need sleep, and so on and so on. And honestly, if you're going to start banking all the training, the recovery, the ability to progress, if you're 6 hours or less per day, yeah, that's something that's going to undermine all the hard work that you're putting in. So I didn't want to read out all the health kind of scare but if you want to look into it, it's kind of real now. It's not something that's like, oh shit, this is not real. But from a purely where we sit for performance, for nailing your performance, your recovery, everything, like I said today in the Facebook group, sleep is the only performance enhancing drug that's legal. There you go, guys.
Can you hear me
This
now?
is where you tell me no one's heard a word, and I've been on mute for the last nine
Can you
minutes.
hear me?
Can't hear you though, Jesus. Can you hear me now?
I can
I
hear
can hear
you,
you.
Juicy.
Oh yeah, they're all okay. I can hear everybody now.
You can hear everyone else?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear
And I
you now.
can hear
All
you
right.
as well, Lucy.
Yeah, cool. Right, okay, right. So excellent. At least you heard me. Everybody's fallen asleep now because you're bored.
Are we starting to sleep now?
Okay. Let's answer. Let's start with some questions. Like who would like to jump on in? What's your sleep routine like? Who's a 4 or 5 hour a night person? All that sort of stuff. Go on, who's going to be brave? Or are you all bored stiff with that?
I can ask a question, Gav.
Sure, yeah, far away.
Okay. So four to five or 6 to 7. I'm more of a 6 to 7 kind of person at the moment. I'm trying to get it better, but um, so you mentioned about those sleep trackers. I think I've asked you a question before as well. And this test match I was watching India England, lots of players on both sides were wearing something on their
Yeah,
wrists, I think, and I looked up and it's Whoop,
Whoop.
yeah,
WHOOP.
yeah.
So how much like when you see these elite athletes wearing these trackers, how much can you rely on those as an amateur and who are in a completely different atmosphere
I I
where the things are not as planned as it is for them?
I remember when Whoop came out because the guy that founded it, anyway, he bought it. He's talking 10 years ago, Whoop 1.0, and I remember trying it. And I spent 6, 7 years going between Whoop and the Aura Ring. I would say about 4 months ago, I threw them all away because there was a night in my house where well, literally, we didn't have a burglar, but we thought we had a burglar come in during the middle of the night. Dog went nuts. I ran downstairs ready to kill somebody, and I checked my aura data next day, and my heart rate was about 55 beats a minute. And I was like, okay, something's not good there. So in all honesty, I think to commercialize Whoop, which they've done, mass numbers and Aura, and keep the price down, I just don't think now it gives you anywhere near the data that you need to. I think that, in all honesty, anything that's costing under $20 a month, which it does for Whoop, and the Aura Ring is about £300 to £400, and it's £5 a month. It's just not accurate enough. I think if you know nothing about your body, it's okay to use one for a few months. But you know what? If you just understand, don't drink alcohol 4 or 5 hours before bed. Don't eat a big meal 3 hours before bed. Go to bed at the same time every night. Wake up at the same time every night. If you're struggling with sleep, there are some sleep hacks. But aside from that, I don't think they're that good because what they're also doing is they're tracking your activity during the day and then they're saying, well, you've done all this. And I think the activity tracking is good because it's just steps and miles and heart rate, which I think is fine. But if it can't track the recovery element that well, which is sleep, the next day it says it gives you a color code, red, yellow, or
Yeah.
green. And if you wake up the next day and you feel
And
okay and
it's
it's like yellow, it goes, hang on a minute. Or if you wake up the next day and you feel like shit and it's green, you're like, I haven't got a clue where I am. So the best internal system is yourself. And for sleep, it's just the basics. It really is. It's very simple base around how you manage that corridor before sleep and then the next morning how you get into your day. But it
no,
is key. It really is.
and I agree with that because and sometimes as amateur when you look at those the results from the tracker over next morning, and it can be it plays a psychological part as well, where oh I think I slept well, but my tracker is telling me something else, and then you go into that conundrum where oh maybe I should start doing something else, and then you're never
Yeah.
satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
If you wake up in the morning and you need a coffee to get you going, then you've got a problem with sleep.
okay,
That's
good
the
point.
only Whoop band that you need on. Really is. If
Mhm, mhm.
you wake up at a good time, you hydrate in the morning, give it the first 20 minutes, you should be good to go. But if you are struggling to get in your day, then that's all you need to know.
And I have another question, if I
Yep,
may,
yep.
um, related to sleep. Sometimes I did this in experiment with myself, where I took a painkiller because a prescribed painkiller just to see that if I can sleep better, extend that to 7 to 8 hours. Is that, I mean, is that a good strategy every now and then? Like if you're really feeling sleep deprived to take those sleeping aids or no?
100% no, no.
No, okay.
Like, like if you get, I'm actually in the process of sending you a link to something that will help you to replace that is purely natural. So yeah, yeah, please, please don't start popping pills to go to sleep. Popping pills to go to sleep is like in our movement world, if you've got a injured knee, you put a knee strap on it all the time. It's a crutch. You have to get to the underlying problem of why you're struggling. So I've just literally just messaged you in on form now to have a look at something that's far more less harsh on the body. All right?
Good. Thank you.
Hey, Gab, can I add a couple of points on the because I've been using it for a
Yeah,
couple of
yeah,
months. So
yeah.
I'm just wearing this to show you guys, but I stopped using this since a few weeks. Uh, First couple of months, I think the 1.5 month it was good. I was trying to track everything, red, green, yellow. It shows some strain, you know, what's your REM sleep and all that. But the moment I started not liking it is I was just sitting on a couch, doing my stuff, watching, working and stuff. And it showed my heart rate as 48 or 53, 55, something like that.
Yeah.
And I actually was concerned a little bit, like, I know resting heart rate athletes have even 40s to 50s range, but I don't think the heart rate is accurate in all the times.
Yeah.
And you wake up early next day morning and you see all these statistics, and then it has a psychological impact on your brain as well.
Yeah, hugely, hugely. I mean, I got to a point where I literally used to wake up and look at it before I decide how I felt.
Yeah,
And I'm talking about I did Whoop 1.0. We're at 4.0 now. So it was
yeah,
well before COVID where I was reliant on it. And every now and again I dip back into like the new Aura update and the new Whoop update. But I've just yeah, you're right. I don't think the psychological issues outweigh the gains of using it and relying on it anymore, to be honest with you. I
yeah,
think it creates psychological vice that isn't actually that healthy. So,
yeah,
becoming more in tune with how you are and what you need, that's the most important thing. No band is going to know your body better than you.
yeah.
Cool. Excellent. So, has anybody else got anything in relation? Are we all under 6 hours thinking, oh God, I've got to get to bed early? Like, what's the general thoughts?
I mean, I've made quite a conscious effort recently to to like get as much as I can. Like at the moment, I'm kind of around 9, but I used to be a fair bit lower, more around like 7. But
Yeah.
value, because everyone talks about 8, is it the more the better? Or obviously, if you're speaking like 11 hours a day or something, is that not going to give you the best kind of bang for your buck or whatever? Do you know what I mean?
So it's quality. It's quality. So
Yeah.
basically, very, very quickly, is that it's a cycle. From the minute you wake up in the morning to the minute you go to bed. In the morning, you wake up, cortisol is high. That's the stress hormone. It wakes you up. It drives you through your day. And the concept is that as you go through the day, cortisol drops, and then we prepare for sleep. So what should happen in a perfect world is that you eat, let's say you eat at 6 o'clock in the evening and you go to bed at 10. 4 hour gap, 3 hour gap before you eat. Perfect. An hour before you go to bed, you start to wind down. You don't want any stressful conversations. You actually want to be able to block out the blue light. Blue light are just like TV screens, phones, because that's waking up the mind. It's telling you it's daylight. So you just try to relax for an hour before bed. That's why we say do the soft tissue work. If you struggle with sleep and you're not great at it, a hot shower is good, or a hot bath that raises your core temperature. So to get into deep sleep, your core temperature needs to drop by at least a couple of degrees. So by actually getting the body hot, the body will dump that heat and your core temperature will plummet. So an hour before bed, you've had a hot bath, you're relaxing, you're blocking out the blue light, you're just turning the lights off, you're downgrading yourself, soft tissue. Then you get into bed. Now, melatonin, which is the sleep hormone that comes out of the gut, is highest at about 10, 11 o'clock at night. That's why if you eat 2 hours before bed, your stomach is digesting the food. It hasn't got any time to secrete melatonin. Why is melatonin important? Because that provides us with the deep, heavy delta sleep. Delta sleep is where you are, somebody could go and shout at you and you wouldn't wake up. It's the heaviest, heaviest form of sleep that allows you to repair muscles, tissues, inflammation within the entire body. It's crucial. Most people don't get any deep sleep because they have poor sleep hygiene. Now, what should happen then, melatonin starts dropping around 1, 2 in the morning, and then you get into your dream sleep, which is your REM sleep in the lesser hours. But that, as I said in the presentation, is key. It cleans out the lymphatic system, which is the brain, which is short-term memory. So you have this whole perfect system that allows you to not only fix and repair the body, but clean out the brain. And unfortunately, what we do is we interrupt that system, so we never quite get into the flow of it. And then the sequence starts again. So there are ways to manipulate the whole process, but the value in there of that 7, 8 hours, it's the quality and not the duration. So Ryan, if you're going to get 9 hours worth of sleep, but you're going to bed at 11 o'clock, eating at 9:30, then you're going to spend 4 hours of your first sleep cycle digesting food. So the one thing I want to try and put across to you guys as well is that sometimes 6, 7 hours is the best you can get, and I get that. So we're going to talk a little like for a few seconds about napping, or why a quick 12 to 1 o'clock or a 20-minute nap can restore a lot of what you lose at night. So just quickly, this is something that I've found is unbelievable. From a personal point of view, New Calm, it literally has different frequencies. You put the earplugs in during the day, you turn it on for 20 minutes, and you can actually, as it says, you can actually top up your sleep by up to an hour and a half to 2 hours. It uses different sound waves to trick the brain into alpha, beta, data sleep. So if you're a person that's like, great, I can't sleep 8, 9 hours, and you need six, then this is instead of trying to get a nap in during the day where you're lying there thinking, I can't sleep, you literally put the eye mask on, you put these into the ears, and in 20 minutes you can wake up and completely reset your day and have a huge impact on your sleep as a whole. So, look, just I don't want to go on too much more, but wearables, waste of time. If you can only get 6 hours, 7 hours, use a strategy like New Calm and just see if you can get into a routine 1 hour before sleep that allows you to get the best out of it. Cool. Anybody else? Anything they want to ask before we all start preparing for bed in the UK, which is now 7:30 at night, and I'll be in bed by 9:30.
I have got a question.
Go on, Harry. Jump on.
Yes, it's not really. It's sort of a bit different to sleep. But I was at the Nets today, and I was just thought I'd check my run up was right, so I just ran in without marking it and let go, and the ball just felt natural. And I found when I did it, I had a pattern of it being six. It was 6 steps further than my original one, so I'm not sure whether to change it permanently.
Well, mate, yeah, it has thrown me a bit because I'm talking about sleep then, but I talk about run up now.
Matt,
Go
you keep in the sleep. I'll go for this one, mate. Yeah,
on.
if it felt good and the outcome was good, happy days. Just yeah, know what it is and just repeat it every time you bowl.
Okay, I felt it. I felt like I was running in with more pace. There's probably more stress going through my body. So is that still all right?
Yeah, because remember we're talking if I'd say no if you were running in harder and then trying harder, but if we're sequencing the way you were doing before, it's fine, absolutely fine, as long as you're not
Okay,
feeling you're
I've
trying
got
too
some
hard at the
videos.
crease.
Okay,
Okay,
yes, I'll try it tomorrow as well.
good lad. Get some video of it, yeah.
Yeah, I have. I'll send them to you after this call.
Brilliant. Cheers, Harry. Lad. So,
Yeah.
anyone else got anything on sleep?
I have some more questions for Gav. Um, it's about the meal. So how about the snack? Is there um, the quantity of snack before going to sleep?
Wait, what are we
If you
talking
feel
about?
like one.
Are we talking a massive bar of Cadbury's chocolate or a bowl
No,
of
no,
popcorn?
maybe something like a glass of milk or uh,
Yeah,
some
yeah. If
peanuts
you,
or some nuts.
well, yeah, I mean, like a banana's got magnesium, like that will relax you a little bit. You just don't want anything that's going to raise your blood sugar, and so you can
Mm.
use kind of like peace of mind on that one. Something simple, but you know, is it because you're hungry or is it because it's a habit? Well,
Sorry, lost you.
yeah, is it
Now
because,
back.
did you get that? Is it because you're hungry or is it just a habit?
I think it's sort of a habit, I believe. Just because I don't eat late in the evening, so I don't know why I feel the urge to go into the kitchen and grab something like a few nuts and a glass of milk, something like that. But I don't know if that's going to affect my sleep. I could stop it and then maybe feel it, but I'm just wondering if that is going to make a massive difference.
Well, just try it, mate. Just try it. Don't
Okay.
snack for a few nights. See how you feel. If you don't feel any different, you go from there. That's the beauty of all this. It's about trial and error a little bit and finding your own way.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
try it
Uh,
for a few nights. See how you go. Lock the cupboard up, all the sweets and everything else, and stop yourself diving in.
And one more thing is I read something about NSDR, not non-sleeping deep rest during the day.
Yep.
Just your thoughts about it, because I've been trying it and it helps me to get through the day if I am struggling for sleep time or longer
Yeah,
sleep
yeah.
time.
Look, any break in the middle of the day. If you have a day where literally you get to 1 o'clock and you're like, God, this is like, I can't cope with this. Any method, whether it be that, whether it be meditation, whether it be that new calm app, anything that just gives you a break and reset. So I don't look at the new calm app as like I'm going to sleep. I just feel like it's resetting the day. So anything that works, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Perfect. Thank you, Gav. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Cool. Ryan, yeah, to tell you the truth, Ryan, with the earthing sheets, no, I don't. Used it for a long period of time, read a bit more about it to do with some certain symptoms that people devise. I'd never got a better feeling than walking on the beach for 30, 40 minutes than an earthing mat. So no, I don't use them anymore. Plus I get hot and sweaty with them.
One more, Gav.
Cool.
Sorry, quickly.
Cool. This is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I'm gonna have to give you like limited questions here. Go on, Suki,
Yeah.
last one, buddy.
Uh,
Yeah,
the saunas
you're
and
right.
steams, as part of recovery
Yep.
process. I read something about it yesterday. It was posted by Tommy, who works with you guys, I believe. So, just your opinion on that. Reading sometimes a research article can be a little bit of too much. Am I?
Do you know what?
So,
Because sauna and steam, and the same with cold, I'll put them into a bracket now, which is a hormetic stressor. A lot of people go a bit nuts with it. So there's a like everything that there's a tipping point of all of these stressors. Same with training, same with everything. The idea is to balance between the two. So a reason, it's fine. A bit of sauna, a bit of steam. I would do it more at the end of the day than the beginning of the day. If you're going to do cold, I would do cold more at the beginning of the day than the end of the day. But it's the same with everything. Is like you can suddenly find yourself doing 3, 4 sessions a week and wonder why central nervous system's a bit shot away. Is sleep. Your sleep quality is a great gauge of how well your body is actually doing. So those nights where you actually fall asleep, not within minutes of your head hitting the pillow, under 10 minutes, but not like, where you hit the head and it's just, you're gone. That's exhaustion. That's not helping. So just with all of these things, you just got to gauge it. You just got to listen. You have to build your own internal whoop is the bottom line. That's the way I describe it.
perfect. No
Cool.
more.
Right. I'm going to mute you now permanently. Thank you. Anybody else got anything else this evening? If not, we're always on form for more questions. Perfect. No point doing all the training without nailing the sleep. That's the message from me.
Cool. Anything else from anyone? I was up, but a question about napping. Yeah, mate. Like Gav said, napping's fine. If I don't have a nap around between 1 and 2 or 3, I struggle. That's because my dog wakes me up at 5 a.m. And it's interesting, actually. I don't know how many of you go with the circadian rhythm. And when it is lighter, you get up earlier and you feel fine. In the winter, if you get up at 5 o'clock, you don't feel so so good. Okay, so that internal circadian rhythm, which is always there, it helps us a lot. Cool. Anything else? If not, we'll go and get ready for bed. We're back
Yep.
tomorrow night at 7:30 for Q&As, and then Monday morning 9 a.m. Um, so yeah, any last questions before we go? Nope. Excellent. Right. Great turnout tonight, guys. Thank you very much for coming on, and we will catch you later. Bye bye.